On today's video, we're going to make this pretty cool rotating cards animation. But first, before we get started, let's take a quick look at our commercial and we'll get right back and crank into it. All right, we are back. Let's go ahead and dive right in, guys. Let's delete the logo here, get the scene set up, and what I want to do is I want to create a plane. I'm going to rotate it on X by 90 degrees, and this is going to essentially be one of the cards. I'm going to go to edit mode, vertex selection, and I am going to bevel this by hitting Control B and then the V for vertices, and I'm adding in some more vertices. Right now I am tying in the geometry, so we'll have an all quads based solution, and it's just going to make things easier for us later. And I'm filling in some loops here, make it nice and clean. And the next thing I want to do, since I have a flat plane still, is I want to add a solidify modifier to it to give it a little bit of thickness, so it actually looks like a real card. Not gonna go crazy. I mean, you don't have to do what I do, but find something that works nice visually for you. And then I want to apply that modifier. So now this is actual geometry. All right, so now I'm going back into edit mode and I want to grab these edges. And what I'm doing is I'm going to put a slight bevel on these edges, and then we're going to run subdivision on this. Just like that. 2-segment bevel is just fine. Then I'm going to go back to front ortho. And I'm running a level 2 sub D on it, and bam, we're done with the card. So now what I want to do is I want to come in here and I want to apply that modifier as well, the sub D. That's going to give us a lot of geometry. And now we have one card, but the trick is to have multiple cards. So I'm going to come in here in my modifier stack, and I am going to select a displace modifier because I want to offset it. And I'm going to offset it on the X local axis. I'm going to change my midpoint to 0, and then I'm going to plug in a value in which I want that thing to offset, which I've done here. And now I'm going to run in an array modifier because this is going to add the additional cards for us. And I want to take it from relative offset to object offset after I've added that empty in there, and I want to select that empty. I'm going to put 20 cards in here. And if you notice, the card is shifted 90 degrees, so I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to change the original card's transform. I'm going to reset all the transforms to the after we rotated it. So that's going to take all the other cards in the array and make them adjust to it. So now we're going to create the animation. This is going to be super simple, guys, so just follow along. I brought up my timeline down here, and I want to go about 100 frames. And one thing I want to do is I want to rotate my empty. That's going to change the orientation of the cards in the array, as you see right here. But one thing that I can tell you from looking at this, these cards are stacked directly right on top of each other, but that's okay. We're going to deal with that here in a second. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and in my settings in the panel over here, I'm going to click on the little keyframe icon that creates a keyframe. Now I'm going to go back to my first frame, and I'm going to change that rotation back to 0. I'm just showing you guys what it looks like. So I'm explicitly put in 0, and then I'm going to hit that button again, create another keyframe. So now that when we scrub the playhead, we see we get the animation. I mean, the animation's done. This is a super simple animation. But we now need to address the fact that the cards are stacking right on top of each other. So now that I limited my timeline down to 105 frames, because I want there to be a few frames, like 5 frames left after the animation stops, where it just sits there before it repeats itself. Now we're going to go ahead and deal with the fact these cards are stacked on top of each other. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Super easy. So I want to bring all of the cards out. And what I want to do is I'm essentially going to just change the location on Y. And it's going to propagate to all the cards. So I'm bringing them back almost like a spring, if you will. So the cards are not stacked one on top of each other, but they're closely one behind each other. And when we look at it from the front, you'll see that that's going to look right. See, this is what it looks like it framed, like a few frames into it, and then that's how it rotates out. So I wanted you guys to see it from the side so you could see what was happening. So as if you're following along, you should get something similar to that. Now, we're done with the animation. So what I want to do now is come in here and bring my camera in. You guys know the shortcut for the camera. And I'm just kind of looking at how the animation is going to go in there. And I want to make this camera square. So this would be a good video for your social media. So I'm going to do 1920 by 1920 pixels. And I want to change the focal length of the camera to 80 millimeters. So it looks a little more flat, more like a focal length that a photographer would use. And then I'm going to double G the camera out to just kind of bring it out. Now, just so I don't change the offset of the camera and to get weird perspective, I'm using the shift on X, and I'm going to use a shift on Y to kind of center it up. So I want to see what the animation is going to look like in there. And just to make sure it's more right than not, I'm going to come down here in my settings. I'm going to turn Passepartout all the way up so I don't get like visual background noise. And then I'm going to turn in the guides here, and I'm going to turn on center. And now I'm going to come back in here and shift X and shift Y with the camera and just kind of get it more centered where the composition looks right, at least to me. There you go. Something like that. So now we're done with the camera. So now we're going to create shading. So now I'm in look dev mode. And what I want to do is I'm going to bring over another window. And in this other window, I'm going to turn in the shader options here. I'm going to click on the card, that original card. And now I'm going to create a new shader. From here, I'm going to crank roughness all the way up. And I'm going to crank up the transmission, not all the way, because I want the cards to be slightly see-through. I want it to be a very subtle effect, which you're not really going to see in look dev. We'll have to go to cycles, which we'll do here in a second. But yeah, let's just do that now. And then let's go to render view. And if you notice, I don't have but one point light in my scene, which we're actually going to use it this time. We usually don't, but this time I am going to use it. So still sticking with the shaders, I'm going to create a color ramp. I'm going to bring that in. And I'm going to tie color to color ramp to the base color of the principal shader. And then I want to bring in a geometry node. A geometry node is going to allow us to be able to create randomness to an array. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going into my color picker of the color ramp, and I'm just choosing 3 colors. These 3 colors are brand colors of mine. It's a take on red, white, and blue, which if you guys have seen my content, you can kind of figure out I like that. But so the first color is FF0000. The second color is white. It's FFF. And the third color is a very dark blue. It's a 101D40, if you want to follow along. And then I'm changing the mode of my color ramp to consistent. So it's a hard color stops between the 3. And the range in which I pick those color sliders will denote how many of the cards in that array are a particular color. Play with it and you'll see what I mean. And then I tie the geometry, that random geometry, into the factor of the color ramp. Now I'm in look dev on the right, so you're not going to see it. So I'm going to go back to solid view so it doesn't confuse you. But if you look on the left, we're at the camera view of cycles. So as I'm making changes to lighting and stuff, you'll see it kind of happening in real time. So I bring in an area light. Oh, excuse me. I bring in a plane. This is going to be the backdrop. I'm going to go to edit mode. I'm going to scale it up. Don't need to get crazy with it. I just want to make sure that it fits in my view. So this is like the wall in the back of it. And now we can see the pop from that area light up there. So I'm just kind of moving this light around because I really don't know where I want it yet. I'm just looking for something that looks good, at least to me. I don't love that hard shadow back there, but what I could do is increase the size of the light and soften that shadow. But I kind of like the fact that that light is a little hard on the upper right portion of the cards, and I could light link it to the card, but I'm trying to do it without having to do that. So now I bring in an area light, scale it up, and I've got it right over the top of the cards. And what you're seeing me do now is I'm just kind of coming in here and tweaking the light. I'm changing the power, but I'm trying not to get too crazy with the amount of light power I'm applying to the card. And I felt like on this video, this would be a good time to kind of show you a little bit of my process of playing with lighting. Right now, I'm taking these technical values and I'm trying to tweak them in a nice formula to where it makes the visual look the way I would like for it to look as an artist. I'm not really focused so much on the technical aspects of the light. I'm really trying to get the technical aspects to look to make the visual look like I want it to, if that makes sense. But I actually wanted you guys to see this. That's why I'm not trimming it out of the video. So now I bring another area light down below, and then I rotate it at 180 degrees on the y-axis. So basically I'm inverting the light. I'm flipping it back up at the bottom of the cards because I want to light it from the bottom. And the light's really more so focused on the cards and not the backdrop, because we're going to do it with the backdrop here in a second. And I bring in another light to put in the front of the cards, just so a lot of the light fall off and hit the cards, and then it just illuminates the front of the cards. Nice soft lighting. And I'm trying to keep these lights as default as possible, so I'm not using feathering or anything like that. I actually have a plugin, which I highly recommend, called Light Wrangler by Leonard Altman, who I have discussed on another video, who is has a really great plugin for lighting, and a lot of people have tried to copy his work since then, but I've seen how hard he works, so I always give him credit, at least for my videos. So now we're bringing in a spotlight, and the spotlight's intention is to basically shine a beam of light up on that backdrop. I want it to be fairly subtle. And you can look at some of the settings I'm plugging in here. I'm okay with that. All right, so I'm still screwing around these lights a little bit. So I'm gonna move that 1-point light I got in the front that's basically putting light on the front of these cards, and I'm angling it on X back towards the cards. But I don't want that harsh light on them, because I feel like it's going to wash everything out and you're going to lose some shadow detail, which I want you to see some shadow detail because it's going to give it a little bit of depth. So I'm just kind of playing with the light, trying to see what looks right. That's why I'm moving it around so much. There's no like mathematical formula to getting these lights right. I mean, there might be some AI algorithm that knows the best ways of doing this, but like most people, this is the process. Just move it around till it looks right. But you need to know what the settings in the light do, if that makes sense. And I think I'm pretty happy with this. So let's go back to the first frame and let's just kind of like look at things here. And I'm just kind of looking at the way these cards look as a light. This light setup is going across all the cards in animation. I'm just making sure I don't see anything weird. And then I'm just tweaking as we go. All right, let's bring in another one. Let's move it up. So I'm wanting this light to point right at the cards, and then I'm gonna bring it out in front of the cards, and I want to scale it up. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create basically a fill light, but I don't want it at an angle necessarily. I just want a subtle fill light that's just going to put nice soft lighting on the front of the cards, kind of like directly in front of it, to kind of flatten it out a little bit. I want subtle shadows here. I don't want hard shadows, and I want you to be able to see the fact that those cards are somewhat transparent. I want them to look almost like plastic, like that thin plastic or paraffin wax type of material. And we're past 3-point lighting here. Yeah, that looks a lot better. And it appears that the backdrop is illuminated or has an emission to it, but it does not. I'm just using lighting in there, whatever, and that backdrop's pretty rough, so the light is bouncing off of it. So right here, I want you guys to see, if you want to animate this out, there's your output. You put your path in there, or where you want the files to go, and the format, and then up here you click on that. That's a nice reminder. If you like this content, like and subscribe for more. And then there's the finished product. Thank you guys for joining this video. This has been a fun one. This is the first one we've done with animation. We'll do a lot more. There's a steak video coming up, so I'll see you soon.